Have you ever met someone, and from the very first moment, it felt different? Not just attraction, not just interest, almost like the universe itself was holding up a mirror. You feel a pull you can't explain. You think this must mean something. Maybe they're the one. But then reality steps in. They're unavailable. They live in another world. Or maybe they simply don't choose you. And you're left wondering, why would life put them in front of me, only to take them away? What if I told you? It's not punishment. It's a lesson, a turning point. And Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant psychologists who ever lived, believed this is exactly how the unconscious speaks to us. Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Sometimes the person you can't have isn't meant to be yours. They're meant to wake you up. Today, we're going to talk about why the universe sends you someone you can't be with, and how that painful, confusing experience might be the key to your deepest growth. We'll break this down into 3 parts: why it happens, what it reveals about you, and how to transform the pain into strength. Think about it. If this person isn't meant for you, why did they appear? Why now? Jung had a concept called synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that feel like life itself is trying to tell you something. These encounters aren't random. They're mirrors, showing you the parts of yourself you've been ignoring. Maybe you meet someone incredibly confident and you feel small next to them. Maybe they're deeply creative and it stirs something in you that's been sleeping for years. Or maybe they simply treat you in a way that reopens an old wound you thought you'd already healed. This isn't just romance. It's reflection. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine, let's call her Anna, once met a man she described as impossible not to fall for. He was brilliant, kind, and they shared the same passions. But there was a catch. He was already in a long-term relationship. She felt devastated, angry at life. She told me, why would the universe let me meet him if I can't have him? Months later, she realized something extraordinary. It wasn't about him at all. What drew her in wasn't the man himself. It was how alive she felt around him. That spark reminded her of a version of herself she had buried for years. He didn't stay in her life, but he left her with a message. You've been asleep. Wake up. And she did. She went back to painting, something she had abandoned a decade earlier. She built a new career, and today, she says, I'll always be grateful for him, even though he was never mine. This is what Jung meant. They're not here to complete you. They're here to reveal you. Jung called this projection. When you meet someone who feels magnetic but unreachable, it's often because you're projecting onto them the traits you've lost or denied in yourself. You admire their boldness because you've been playing it safe. You crave their freedom because you feel trapped. You want their love because you haven't learned to give it to yourself. It's not really about them. It's about you. They are the mirror, and you are the one who has to look. And this is where the pain comes in, because looking in that mirror is uncomfortable. But if you stay with it, if you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this showing me? That's when everything begins to change. Now, let's talk about what this experience actually reveals and how it can become the most important teacher you've ever had. When you meet someone you can't be with, 3 things are usually happening beneath the surface. It exposes your shadow. Jung believed that we all have a shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide or deny, and these encounters drag the shadow into the light. For example, if you fall for someone who is bold and unapologetic, maybe it's because you've buried your own boldness under years of fear. If you ache for someone who is deeply nurturing, maybe it's because you've been neglecting your own need for care. These feelings hurt because they're invitations. The person you want is holding a missing piece of you, and your task isn't to get them. It's to reclaim that piece. It teaches you emotional emotional resilience. There's a reason this experience can feel like heartbreak, even if there was never a relationship. It forces you to confront longing without resolution. And that's powerful, because if you can learn to sit with that discomfort without running from it or numbing it, you become stronger. You stop needing every story to have a happy ending in order to feel whole. That's not just emotional maturity, that's freedom. It pushes you toward individuation. Individuation, in Jung's words, is the process of becoming your truest self. And sometimes, the fastest way there isn't through comfort, it's through friction. The impossible person is like a catalyst. They burn away the illusions you've been living with and leave you face to face with the truth of what you need to change. There's a Japanese art form called kintsugi. When a bowl breaks, they don't throw it away. They repair it with gold. The cracks don't disappear. They become the most beautiful part of it. That's what these encounters do. They break you just enough to show you where the gold needs to go. But knowing why it happens isn't enough. You need to know what to do with it, because if you're not careful, you'll get stuck in longing. You'll wait for someone who was never meant to stay. So let's talk about how to transform this pain into power. You've seen why it happens. You've understood what it reveals. Now, what do you do with it? Because awareness is only the first step. Jung believed transformation happens when you take what's unconscious and bring it into the light. Here are 3 practical steps to do exactly that. Stop chasing. Start reflecting. The first instinct when you meet someone you can't be with is to chase. You overthink every word, every sign, every what if. But here's the truth. The more you focus on them, the further you get from the real lesson, yourself. Instead, pause and ask, what exactly am I drawn to in this person? Where do I already have that quality in me, and where am I still afraid to claim it? When you shift your focus inward, you stop turning them into a fantasy and start turning this pain into fuel for growth. This isn't about erasing the feelings, it's about redirecting them from obsession to self-discovery. Integrate what they represent. Think of this person as a symbol rather than a destination. If you're drawn to their confidence, start building your own. If you're drawn to their passion, bring passion back into your life. If you're drawn to their independence, ask yourself, where can I stand more firmly on my own 2 feet? Instead of saying, I wish I had them, start saying, I'm becoming what I see in them. This is how you take back your power, because the truth is, you're not missing them, you're missing you. Release the timeline. Jung often warned that one of the greatest traps in life is thinking you're late. You're not late. You're right where you need to be. The person you can't be with isn't proof that you're falling behind. They're proof that life is working on you in ways you can't yet see. When you release the need for answers today, you make space for growth tomorrow. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Just stay with the lesson until it finishes its work on you, because when it's done, you won't be the same person who met them. These steps don't erase the longing overnight, but they turn that longing into something sacred. And when you look back, you'll realize this person wasn't a mistake. They were the mirror that showed you who you were becoming. Now, what happens when you finally step through that mirror and meet the version of you who's been waiting on the other side? Here's the truth. One day, you'll wake up and you'll think of them, and it won't hurt. You won't feel that ache in your chest anymore. Instead, you'll feel gratitude, not because you got them, but because you got yourself back. This is the quiet reward Jung was pointing to. It's not about winning. It's not about proving anything. It's about peeling away everything that was never you, the fear, the self-doubt, the waiting, until only the real you remains. And that version of you will look back at the pain and say, Thank you. You built me. The universe doesn't send you someone you can't be with to punish you. It sends them because there's a part of you that's ready to be born. And when that part finally rises, you won't need them anymore. You'll already be whole. And that's the moment everything changes, because you'll realize it was never about them. It was always about you.